Putting that one together, I learned more about Dave than I did when I knew him for 10 years.
Well, Silent Valor, our focus is on veterans as well as first responders, with a focus on PTSD. We have, Dave, for this podcast, is both. Well, we're going to, in this podcast today, we're going to hear about what seems like a pretty dark time in his life to me, but to hear him tell the story.
You're going to really enjoy this episode. Good, feel-good story, and just his whole demeanor during the whole thing. But anyways, I'd like to introduce you to David Velasquez. Bomber, brown ale. Brewed with honor, served with purpose. Call sign Brewing Company, North Kansas City, Missouri. Before you hear Dave's story, there's one thing you need to know. Dave has served his country and his community for many years. But what you're about to hear isn't just a story about service, it's a story about resilience. Dave, welcome. It's been, a couple days since I've seen you.
Yeah.
How's retirement life going for you?
It's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
I kind of miss the flying, I'm not going to lie. The flying's always been, part of me. And when you've flown for, 30 years, it's kind of gets you.
Yeah, you've had an amazing career, man. It was a lot shorter for me flying, but it was a very, very wonderful experience.
Yeah. So, as far as your career goes, you were military, and you started off in
Marine Corps Reserve.
So, what year was that?
Yeah, I went to boot camp in December of 1987, and served with a unit in Topeka, and was down there for about 6 years. And when my contract expired, I chose not to renew it. At the time, I'd been working at the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, and was really enjoying that. It was a lot of fun, and going to drill on the weekends and being away from that line of work for any amount of time was not very appealing to me, especially when there wasn't a whole lot going on in the world for the military. So.
And from what I understand, you just retired from the Air Guard, right?
I did. August of 24, so it's been a little over a year now. So yeah, about a year and a half, I guess.
You adjusting well?
Yeah, I miss it.
Yeah,
I really do.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, I miss the people. I miss the flying. I don't miss the circus.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
All the monkeys, man, I miss them. Well, going from a combat zone, and I'm sure that you've probably seen your fair share of combat, then you come back to the States. And at this time, you're still with KCMOPD?
I was with Lenexa.
Lenexa, okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And was that like a lateral transfer, or how did that work?
It was not really lateral. I mean, they adjusted pay and everything, but I mean, and I still had to do like some academy stuff on the Kansas side, but I'd been in Kansas City, Missouri for about 5.5 years before going to Lenexa, and Kansas City's academy was significantly longer. It was 6-7 months long, something like that, as opposed to, I want to say, about 3 or so on the Kansas side.
Sure.
So all I had to, pretty much what I had to do on that side was take some classes and some tests for Kansas law, which very similar, but some subtle diffenes, I think.
Still a post certification?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
for the state of Kansas.
Yeah. Shortly after graduating from the police academy.
And this was with Kansas City?
This was with Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. So go to roll call, and they would kind of bid for whatever districts or sections they were going to work, sometimes based on seniority. And this day there happened to be more cops working than we had police cars. We didn't typically ride with two cops in a car. It was always one. at that time frame, and so we had one extra body, so they stuck the 2 new guys together. So it just happened to be me and a guy that I'd gone to the academy with. And,
2 new guys together instead of putting one of the new guys with somebody with experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, we weren't brand new. We'd been
Okay.
We'd graduated the academy about 9 months prior. We'd gone through our break-in period. We'd been solo cops ourselves for quite a few months, but it was just kind of funny that that he and I ended up together, and he was a good friend in the academy. We lived close together, so we would ride to school every day, and study at night, study on the weekends, and just became really good friends. So
Nice.
it was a good matchup.
Once again, there's that camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely. So we walk out at roll call, get in the car, and we head to the bank because it's payday, and this was when you had the paper checks, and Rob needed to put his check in the bank. So we pull into the drive-through, and as we're sitting there, we get a call, and it ends up being not. It was in our city, but not in our patrol division. It was outside of by about a block or two. So, and typically when that happens, that division station, they're blacked out on cars, so they'll send the next closest area, and so we got sent on that. But a lot of times you're halfway there or whatever, and then they free up a car and they disregard you and they handle their own area. So
Right.
that's just kind of the way all that would typically work. Well, this day was an extremely busy day in the city. We make it through the bank line, and they haven't canceled us. We're driving down. We've got quite a few blocks. I don't know, probably got a 10 or so minute drive to get there, and we're on our way. And the call was suspicious car and occupant, which we get, even though I'd only been a cop for 8 or however many months. I already had hundreds and hundreds of those types of calls. It was a very common one. And this one was, of all things, a limousine backed into a strip mall. And whoever saw it thought it odd. They described the occupants as 2 Hispanic males, two black males in the vehicle. And so we're like, oh, okay, we get there, and we're thinking the car is going to be long gone by the time we get there because, just the amount of time that's elapsed. And we pull in, and sure enough, there's a limousine, and it's parked in front of this. It's off Independence Avenue in Prospect, so 2633 Independence Avenue. It's a strip mall. It had like a laundromat, a dry cleaner, I think like a hair salon, and then anchored on each side it had, I want to say like a Texas Tom's fast food restaurant, and then a ice cream shop, maybe a Baskin Robbins or something. And definitely out of place for that area. It's not a limousine sitting there is not something you typically see. So
I take a limousine to Baskin Robbins all the time. My wife enjoys it.
Well, you live a lot better lifestyle than I do. So
I'm picturing this in my mind, and I'm like, yeah, that is seriously out of place. What were you thinking?
Especially
at
for
first,
the economics of that area.
It's like, this does look out of place.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. So, so again, it's backed up to the sidewalk of the strip mall, and so we have to park, several stalls down. We get out, walk down the sidewalk, start approaching the vehicle from the rear, and the doors open up on the driver's side, and 2 Hispanic males get out, one from the driver's seat, one from the back. And they're like, hey, what's going on? We're like, well, somebody called, said you guys look suspicious here. We just need to check you out, maybe get your IDs, and and check you through the computer, and we'll get you out of here. And they're like, okay, yeah, cool, no problem. They said they were here to meet some clients. They said, we got a customer who wants to rent our vehicle, long term, but they didn't want to drive all the way out to our office. I think it was in Independence or somewhere. And so we told him we'd meet him here. And okay, cool. And he's doing the.
I mean, that's a possibility, right?
Absolutely a possibility. And he's just real nice guy, and he's He's like, gives me his business card, driver's license. The other guy gives me the driver's license.
So far it's
So far, contact is
looking good.
Yeah. He's even saying, hey, if you guys ever want to take your ladies out for a ride in the limousine, Plaza Lights or something like that, he goes, we give a police discount, So he's starting to push it a little hard now. Like, okay. Said, is there anybody else in the vehicle? So this is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the end of July. It's hot out, and you know how dark those windows are on limousines.
Was the car at least running with the AC going?
It was running. Yeah, you can't see inside those, inside those windows. I mean, it's just jet black, those back windows. And about that time, rear passenger door opens up, and this young black male gets out. Sharp-looking kid, we all of us walk over to that side of the car, and I guess I skipped a step. So prior to him getting out, we'd patted these guys down. They consented to let us pat them down for weapons, and checked them. And of course, they're wearing like Hawaiian, like button-up shirts, and I want to say like shorts, So obviously no weapons, but patted them down, no weapons. Very compliant. Walked over to the other side as that kid got out, and anyways, explained the situation to him as well, and he agreed to a pat down. We checked him, no weapons on him. He gave me his driver's license, and I said, all right, is there anybody else in the car, because I can't see in there. And about that time, that same rear passenger door opens up, and so I put my notepad, I had put everything in my pocket, driver's license and all that stuff, and asked him to step out of the car and explain to him what was going on. And he goes, yeah, he goes, I think I left my wallet in my other pair of pants. He goes, I changed right before I came down here. And he goes, but I can give you all my information. I'm like, okay, cool. So get my notepad back out. I'm writing his name down and his, all of his information, biographical, birth date, social security number, address, all that stuff. And talk to him a little bit. And I'm like, hey, what'd you say your address was? Okay, it's the same address, and I'm picturing that in my head. I'm like, that's a residential neighborhood. It's not a warehouse district or something. Like sometimes people make up an address and like that doesn't exist, or where it is, but
right.
It's not a house. What are the middle 3 numbers of your social security number? He rattles those off. Like, how old are you? That matches his birth date, So, I mean, he's got it all down, and I'm thinking he's either telling me the truth or he's a very good liar. Turns out he was a very good liar. So, anyway, so I pocket my notepad again, and at the time he's still seated just like I am. He's got his feet out on the parking lot, sitting there, kind of hands on his knees. The door's open. My partner's on the other side of the open door. These other 2 guys are kind of right here, flanked, and then I'm standing by the right rear tire. And I said, yeah, just hop out. I said, just need to pat you down real quick, make sure you don't have any weapons. I said, we'll run you guys through the computer, and as long as nobody has any warrants, we'll get out of here. We'll get out of your guys' hair, let you carry on about your business, and we'll go about our day. And the kid says, and I say kid, he was my age. He was probably 6 months older than me.
But back then, we were kids.
We were kids.
We were kids.
I was 21, 20, I think I just turned 22. He goes, do you mind if I just sit here? He goes, a few months ago, he goes, I had an interaction with the police, and he goes, it didn't go very well. He goes, I got out of line. It was totally my fault. He goes, but I got a little roughed up, and I was like, all right, man. I said, you know what? You guys are being cool with us. I said, we're being cool with you. I said, just hop out of the car, and I said, just let me pat you down real quick. I said, we don't have any problems like that. Everything, And he's like, okay, sir. Yeah, no problem. And he kind of shifts forward a little bit, and then I thought he fell back. I see his torso kind of move back, and I lose sight of him. His hands retract, and then I hear my partner, Rob, yell, gun. And Rob kicks the door. He kicks it pretty hard. The door goes to slam shut, but the guy's legs are still outside the door, so hits his legs.
Wow.
In the meantime, these other 3 guys, they take off running. I think they know what's coming, so they're gone. And I step back, I draw my pistol, and we're carrying 38 Smith & Wesson revolvers at the time. And I'm starting to bring the pistol up, and I'm waiting for a target. And the next thing I see is just around the door jamb. He doesn't expose himself, but right around the door jamb of the car is a Colt 45, 1911. And I see the muzzle flash, and I see the slide move back, and I see the shell ejecting. I mean, everything just seemed like it happened that slow and that crisp, you know, that you can see all this stuff.
Your adrenaline was going 10 million miles a minute.
Absolutely. So that round kicks off, and unbeknownst to me, I'd been hit. Had no idea I'd been shot at that time.
No kidding.
No.
And it was a 45.
It was a 45. Yeah. Fortunately, he was shooting, you know, solid shot. It wasn't a hollow
Full metal
point.
jackets.
Yeah, full metal jacket. It hits. I didn't know it. He stands up out of the car, and he turns away from me, and now he's pointing at my buddy Rob, who's running towards the front of the car for cover. He's moving towards the engine block, and I'm seeing this guy like starting to level the gun towards Rob, and he starts firing shots. I bring my revolver up, and I'm closer than me and you, and I punch it out, and I'm aiming at his temple, or probably a little bit further back, probably over his right ear.
Still hoping for a good headshot.
Still hoping for a good headshot, and I'm lining my sights up, and at this time, you know, again, everything kind of slows down, and I start hearing these voices in my head, and it is the two different people. It's the marksmanship instructor for the Marine Corps when I was going through the rifle range, and it is the firearms instructors at the police academy, and I'm hearing them coaching me, you know, sight alignment, sight picture, clear front sight post, you know, trigger control, breath, breathe, you know, and gently squeeze the trigger. And I can remember hearing, you know, don't jerk the trigger. You don't want the round to go, you know, one way or the other. Man, I've got this beautiful shot, and I'm squeezing, and nothing's happening. And I'm thinking, all right, you know, everything's in slow motion. Any second now, you know, and I can see the hammer starting to move. And I'm thinking any second now, you know, this trigger's going to break, and the round's going to kick off, and hopefully this guy's just going to drop, you know, and nothing. Like, so I rotate the gun around in my hand, and I'm like, you know, it's a revolver. You know, there's no safety to manipulate. It's not going to jam like a semi-automatic. You know, I can't figure out why this weapon's not firing, and as I turn the gun around in my hand, my middle finger is just kind of hanging there by skin and muscle tissue.
Oh,
and,
man.
And that was my thought.
And you didn't feel that?
I didn't feel that, no. My first thought was, all right, good, it's just nerve damage. I'll switch hands, and I'll shoot him with my other hand, and then I'll address this. And my second thought was, that's going to hurt like hell as soon as the adrenaline wears off.
And I bet you were right.
Not really.
Really?
So.
Well, you had no nerve endings left.
Yeah,
so
no,
yeah.
yeah, right. And later on, that's what the surgeon explained to me, was that severed the nerve endings. You know, the heat of the bullet cauterized the nerve endings. He said so. You know, there was kind of a dull pain there, but it wasn't bad.
Sure.
But so, anyways, as I'm processing this and thinking transition hand, shoot, I'm still hearing gunshots. They're muffled, but then I hear another one that is extremely loud and real strong smell of gunpowder, impact to the chest, and hits me right above my pocket, right above my name tag, and that one I felt. That hurt like hell.
And of course, you were obviously wearing.
I was wearing
protective
my
gear,
my body armor. Yeah. So that hit, and then I look up, and he's just staring me in the eyes, and it looks like he's moving this slow, and he's coming up from my chest, like up towards my face, and I'm like, that's not good. And they talk about tunnel vision, you know, like as soon as Rob yelled gun and I saw the barrel of that 45 come out, you know, like my whole world was about this big.
Right.
You know, like that's what I saw and what I focused on. As he's bringing that gun up, all of a sudden everything opens up, and I'm like, there's a truck over there, like another parking stall down, like I'm moving to that big truck for cover. I'm gonna figure this out, or I'm gonna go for my backup gun, but I'm getting off the X. I'm getting out of this kill zone. This is not a good place.
Well, you're so close.
So yeah. So anyways, I take off running for cover, and I hear Rob on the radio calling for assistance, shots fired. He's on it, man. He's giving description, vehicle description, and he says, unbeknownst to us, there's another vehicle involved. So two of the guys, the shooter and what turned out to be, I think, his cousin, jumped in this blue Chevy Malibu, Beretta, whatever it was, and they were peeling out of the parking lot. And I turn around and I see it. Rob gives a phenomenal description of these guys' clothing, vehicle. He can't see the tag from his vantage point. So I take off running. The car goes behind around the ice cream shop, and I'm able to make it around the corner of the ice cream shop, and I see it right before it turns on to Independence Avenue, and I read the tag off. So we've got the tag, so that worked out well. So I've got, I think at this time, I've transitioned. I put the gun in my left hand. I've got my right hand up. I'm just kind of holding it up just to slow the bleeding. And I'm walking past the ice cream shop, and one thought that went into my mind was, I might need to pack my hand in some ice, like if this finger falls off, maybe I shove it in some ice cream and have them take it to the hospital with me.
We're going to turn this into 32 flavors.
And I'm thinking, man, that was crazy. Like I'm glad that's over with. And so I round the front of the business, and I look across the parking lot, and I see Rob coming out of a building, and he's got one of the other guys at gunpoint. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't over with. Like, 2 got in the car and left. We had 4 total. He's got 1. I'm like, where's this 4th guy? So I start walking.
And the 4th guy was the shooter, correct?
No.
Okay.
The shooter took off in the blue car. The shooter and his cousin took off in the blue car.
Gotcha.
So the other 2 that we initially came into contact with
Sure.
remained on scene.
Okay, well, at least there's that.
Yeah.
What was the expression on their face?
I think that they were probably pretty darn surprised at what all had happened.
Whoa.
And
Could you imagine that? It's like, Jerry, what the hell are you doing?
yeah. So I start walking around, and I'm looking, and I'm kind of trying to figure out where this 4th guy might be. I mean, he could have gone in one of the other businesses, because again, my buddy was bringing one out of a business. But I'm walking through the parking lot, and just on the other side of this truck that I was going to run to for cover stands this guy with his back to me, hands towards his waistband. And I'm thinking,
That's never a good sign.
he's got a gun. I'm like, and I'm mad. And I'm mad at myself, because I'm like, I patted that guy down. Like, how did I miss a gun? Like, I'm thinking, man, I'm thinking, here we go again. And so I level my revolver, and I yell at him, and I tell him, hey, put your hands in the air. And he looks over his shoulder at me, and he goes, don't point that gun at me. I didn't do anything to you. And I'm like, you better shut your freaking mouth and put your hands where I can see them. I said, or I'm going to kill you right now. And I bring, I'm leveling the pistol off at him, and thank goodness he brings his hands out, nothing, turns around, stands there, complies. A couple police cars come flying into the parking lot. They take custody of both of these guys.
Wow.
And so now it's over.
So it's over. But what's that time span? 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes?
Probably just a couple of minutes. Yeah, it seems like an eternity.
Right.
But the good
because
thing is,
when your adrenaline is going like that, it's, the time, your time factor just slows down.
yes,
A lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything was in super slow motion for a while. So, but yeah, the fortunate thing is, like when Rob got on the radio, it seemed like within seconds you could hear sirens off in the distance. It took them a little time to get there, but you knew that they were coming, and that
Sure.
was a very comforting feeling. Later on at the hospital, so when I say thankfully the guy didn't have a gun, which, I didn't want to get in another shootout anyways, but one thing I found out was when this guy fired his initial round at me, the round that hit my hand, before it hit my hand, it hit the trigger guard on my revolver. It fired a shot. It hit the trigger guard with enough force. It bent the trigger guard into the trigger. It fired a shot off and then deflected off of the trigger guard through this finger and then into the palm of my hand. And so it was
Wow.
lodged in my hand. But the gun was disabled. And that's why I couldn't pull the trigger on the shooter when he was turned sideways to me and shooting at Rob before he got off it, before he shot me the second time. So my gun was completely out of the gunfight. It wasn't nerve damage. It was the weapon.
It was a jammed up gun.
Yeah.
You see, you managed to jam up a revolver.
Revolver. Who does that?
You, apparently.
Yeah.
Tell me you still at least have that revolver.
Man,
Well, of course, they'd wind up keeping it for evidence and all that other good stuff. But,
They-
you know, for a retirement present,
yeah.
that would have been something cool to get.
So,
It's probably still in their evidence locker.
now, you know what? It was for the longest time. Then eventually they ended up fixing it.
Are you kidding me?
No, they fixed it. They fixed the revolver. They gave it back to me, and I carried it until we transitioned to semi-automatic pistols, and then they gave me the opportunity to buy it. And I was,
You should have given him the middle finger, but you didn't have one.
right.
I'm sorry,
What
Dave.
I didn't have was any money.
My apologies. You know, I love the fact that we could talk about this, and of course, you're here with us.
Yeah.
Which that could have ended completely differently.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with the miracle,
Yeah.
you know, you're still here.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, they were able to reattach that finger.
So yeah, they did a phenomenal job. Yeah, it was kind of funny. The initial, I'd say, medical care was Kansas City Fire Department.
Okay.
Showed up, wrapped it, pulled my vest, checked my chest. It took a considerable amount of time for an ambulance to show up to get me to the hospital, not through any fault of their own, because they were on the way. When Rob put that information out about the the shooting, the vehicle information, everything, I radioed the tag, and then I said, "Need an ambulance. Officer's been shot in the hand," and then I didn't hear the radio after that. But things happened. I mean, things were said, obviously. And talking later on to one of our dispatchers, she said, "I heard your voice, and I thought you said officer has been shot in the head." So she came back and said, confirming that there's an officer shot in the head. I didn't hear that. Rob did. And it was at that time he saw me walking around the building. He saw me upright, moving around, didn't see any blood pouring out of my head or anything.
Right.
And he says negative. So they cancel my ambulance and they send it someplace else. And again, it was a very busy day. So it's massed ambulance service at the time that Kansas City contracted with, and phenomenal people. But they got sent to another part of the city, and it was just, so it took almost an hour for an ambulance to get freed up and get sent back. But
Wow.
Yeah,
sure. Here they're coming out
Yeah,
of Baskin Robbins. You guys okay?
I was low priority at this time, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just a
just a
finger.
gunshot wound to the hand. It's not like, I'm not dying or anything, so, I'm sure they were probably bouncing ambulances all over town, but fire department hung out there with me, and of course that gives the world to show up. They got the whole parking lot taped off with crime scene tape, and the news media is there and everything, so they capture me on video once the ambulance does show up, like load me up on a stretcher and wheeling me off to the ambulance and everything, and then comes the ride to the hospital. And it was funny how it was, it just felt surreal the entire time. And, the shooting, just the event, the post-shooting. And then as I'm laying there in the ambulance, and the paramedic goes, he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "what hospital do you want to go to?" And I'm thinking, man, I've stood up and looked down on people, like dozens and dozens of people that have been shot or, other traumatic events.
Right.
They're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's asking me where I want to go. Like, I'm going to the hospital. Like that. Like I just got shot. Like it kind of became real. So of course, I told him, Truman. I mean, like that was a dumb question for him to ask at the time. In my mind,
Right,
like that's.
How about the closest one, dude?
I want the #1 trauma center in the city.
There's a vet that we just passed by. I mean,
So, yeah. So I get to Truman, and they take X-rays of my hand and chest and everything, and I'm sitting there, and one of the I think it was the academy staff No, he was, anyways, a police captain. He's in the room with me, and we're just laughing and joking and everything. And he's looking at my hand, and he goes, man, he goes, didn't we teach you in the academy not to catch bullets with your hand? And about that time, the X-ray tech comes in and slaps the X-ray up on the white light backboard. Right. And there's my hand, and then you can see that 45 slug, like right there in the middle of my hand.
Oh my God, so it did not exit.
It did not exit. And we all look at each other, and we all just bust out laughing, like all three of us. And anyway, so I didn't know it was in there. I couldn't feel it,
Well, no, your whole hand,
yeah.
Was it probably numb?
Sure, there was a dull pain to it.
Right.
But surgeon comes by, he looks at it, and he asked me, he goes, all right, he goes, we'll do surgery in the morning. It's kind of late in the day. He said, we'll start out fresh. We'll get the OR prepped. He goes, first thing in the morning, we'll get you taken care of. He goes, what kind of use and recovery do you expect out of your hand? And I was like, full use, full recovery. And he goes, okay. Leaves. Comes back the next morning. I go in for surgery, and things go well. Going through the recovery process. I ended up having 3 surgeries on my hand.
Wow.
And
okay.
Several months of physical therapy. All of that. And I go to my final disability assessment, my final meeting with my surgeon. And at the end of our appointment, he goes, okay. He goes, now that we're done, and he goes, you're about to no longer be my patient. He goes, I got to tell you something. He said, when I walked into the hospital that day and I looked at the x-rays, he goes, I looked at your hand. He goes, I was taking off your middle finger. He goes, I was taking off your ring finger. He said, and a big chunk of your hand. He goes, gone. He goes, it was that bad. He said, wow. He said, but he goes, if you remember when I asked, what time of use and recovery you expected, and you told me full use, full recovery. He goes, I'm thinking, no, it's not like good on you, but
so what was he going to do? Send the nurse in to give you that bad news?
I was probably just going to wake up the next day minus,
So the doctor said your situation's not like, so you're not going to have all of your digits there later.
He told me, he goes, I went home and slept on it. And he goes, I'm driving into work the next morning to do the surgery. And he said, you're young. He goes, you got a positive mindset. He goes, not to toot my own horn, but I'm a phenomenal surgeon. And he goes, give it a try. He goes, what's the worst that could happen? He said, it doesn't take, and we cut it off later. And
there is always that.
There is that.
And how's it feel now?
Great. Most times I don't even think about it, don't even know it. For years afterward, there was always a dull pain there. And for quite a few years afterward, I could tell, when the weather was going to change. I felt like, like barometric pressure, like it would start hurting. I'd be like, oh, well, I guess it's going to rain. And I was better at predicting the weather than the weatherman. So, but now it works. It works extremely well. He told me that, and one thing he told me too was that even when we were able to save it, he said, I didn't think you would ever have any kind of use out of it. He said, cosmetically they'd be there. He goes, but I didn't think you'd ever be able to bend them or do anything with them. So,
man.
Yeah. So it all worked out. I think the foundation that was set with the military and with the police academy, just helped out with that quite a bit.
Sure.
And one significant thing that I remember from the academy was we watched these series of films, and it was like officer survival stories, and there were, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 different episodes, and it was reenactments of police shootings, and several of them, the officers talked about, I never thought this would happen to me, I knew it was an occupational risk, and he goes, but, I didn't think that it would ever, I would ever be involved in a shooting, but this last guy, he talked about how he knew that was not the right mindset. He told himself, this is this is a career I've chosen. You know, yeah, statistically it's probably not going to happen. He goes, but he goes, I always told myself, you know, one day this will happen. I'm going to get shot, but I'm going to fight my way through it, and I'm going to live. And then, you know, because a couple of these other guys, like when it happened to them, they talked about when it happened, I froze, or, you know, I felt like I was ill prepared. But this guy, like, he was like, no, this is going to happen. You know, this is going to happen to me.
Yeah,
And
there's nothing like mentally preparing yourself for something.
So I took that same mindset. I was like, yeah, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. You know, I mean, you know.
And the whole thing is practice.
Yeah. Yep. So, and they did a good job. I mean, I felt like they did a very, very good job. Had us well prepared for the streets. I mean, we did lots and lots of like hours of situational training. And then, you know, the field training officers, you know, once you got out and you're riding, you know, with your trainer, I mean, they did a great job. So I feel like I was very well prepared. You know, I feel like I was very,
You know, mentally, I mean, obviously.
yeah,
And just knowing that, you know, you were able to hear your instructors in the back of your head during the entire process.
yeah.
That's great. So you paid attention in class. I mean, am I right?
Vast improvements from high school.
That's awesome.
Yep. You know, and people would tell me too, you know, when I talk about that, about you know, the weapon being disabled, talk about how unlucky that was, you know, that the weapon was hit and disabled, and I can't help but think that I was very fortunate that happened, just because of where I was when he fired. You know, bringing the pistol up, preparing for a target. He's seated, shooting at an upward angle. It could have very easily hit me in the throat, in the face, you know, something like that. So I think that round impacting the weapon
Probably saved your life.
probably saved my life. Yeah.
See, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. Now, my buddy definitely saved my life. You know, had he not yelled gun and kicked that door and just bought me a second or fraction of seconds
Right.
to draw and start moving backwards. You know, I was trying to backpedal, move backwards to the back of the car and take cover, but, you know, he reached around that door jamb pretty fast and fired, so I didn't have enough time to do that.
So where's your buddy at nowadays?
He's in Pennsylvania.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He moved out there to work for a gun distributor, so he remained a cop for quite a few years. He and I ended up on the tactical team in Kansas City. Same team, different squads for a while, and then I went to Lenexa, and then about a year later he came to Lenexa. He worked out there for quite a few years, and then he took a different path working for gun distributor. So
Good for him.
yeah, but yeah, we're still very close.
And then through all that, you still stayed with it, still with the police department.
Yeah.
And you recently retired from it as well.
I did, yeah. May of 24. So I did it for 34 years. Yeah, it was good. It was a rewarding career. I really enjoyed it.
One thing that I always enjoyed having you around was your positive demeanor. You know, you've always had a positive orb about you. And I love it. I mean, you know, you never did tell me the story, and I've known you for a while. And I always, in the back of my head, was like, well, when he's ready, he'll tell me, or we'll talk about it. And then, you know, here we are today. I never, at that time, thought about having a podcast about, you know, hero stories and PTSD survival stories. And this, to me, is actually a pretty good hero story of knowing that, you know, through this, it's like, okay, you kept going. Got a good attitude on life, and here you are today. Two awesome careers.
Yeah.
So what's the next step with you? I mean, you're going to become a bartender at Call Sign Brewing?
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, you know, post retirement, I took a little bit of time off, and then I caught wind of a job with a local school district doing security at an elementary school.
Awesome. So is it like a, what is that position called? School security?
Like school security, school resource officer.
School resource officer.
I refer to myself as a kindergarten cop because my school is kindergarten through second grade.
that's admirable. That's great that you're still able to continue on this path and just do good for people.
It's it's very rewarding.
And even that's a scary world today.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. Yeah.
But at least some of the schools are doing something about it.
Yeah. The district that I'm working in, they have armed security at each of their buildings. So they have a police officer at the high school, a current school resource officer, and then the other schools all have retired guys like me, so just walking the halls, checking doors, dominating those kids on the basketball court, the playground.
How many bloody noses have you given?
Now, to be fair, I was never a good basketball player, and there's some first and second graders out there that can easily outshoot me. So
that's wild.
But it's a lot of fun.
All right, so retired from the PD, retired of the military side, and now you're a kindergarten cop.
Kindergarten cop.
Got any good vacations planned?
Because
you kind of deserve one.
Yeah. I definitely have that itch because with the on the C-130 we were traveling a lot, right? Like, and a lot of times good places too.
Yeah, so, San Diego.
Yeah. Yep. I did go to San Diego about a month or so ago on a C-130. I got to fly for my first time since retirement. Flew Space A out there and spent a couple of days out along the bay, which was great.
And you didn't have to worry about being hungover for flying the next morning.
Right. Yeah.
That's always a plus. You already probably liquored up by the time the crews got back in from the airdrop.
Absolutely. Yep.
Guys, the seats are warm. Let's go. You guys got some catching up to do here.
Somebody carry me back to the room.
Were you staying at the same hotel as the other guys?
I was, yeah. Yep. Same place as the crew. So
I appreciate you being here for something as traumatic as this, and you still continue to go, still have a positive attitude, and you keep going. I mean, that's I appreciate your service. Thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you. I've been blessed with a very strong support network, friends, family, to get through stuff like that.
Yeah.
Among other things, you got to rely on those people, and you got to be able and to recognize when you need help too, and to ask for help, if you need that.
That's the thing. Not a lot of people ask for help.
Yeah.
They're when they're down, they tend to keep to themselves, and not seeking any help is just not a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
well, Dave, once again, man, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate
appreciate
Steve.
you. Let's go drink. For many veterans and first responders, the hardest part isn't the incident itself. It's carrying the memory afterward. Dave's story reminds us that healing, perspective, and purpose are possible after life's darkest moments.
Okay, Steve, I got to tell you, this guy is fantastic. I know at the intro I didn't share too much, but to hear him talk about being in the hospital, the same hospital with one of the people who were involved on the bad side, not the police side, and laughing with his surgeon while the procedure was going on, just what an amazing, amazing person.
And the thing that just gets me is during the entire story, he was so upbeat about the entire situation.
Even when things were starting to go bad, how absolutely professional he and his partner attempted to be. They tried to put I'm going to call the bad guys, they were bad guys, tried to put them at ease, tried to comfort them, didn't really realize that things were going to go south until they did. And it was just an amazing story of
then it went south real quick.
Patience. I don't know how you could have that kind of patience.
Knowing Dave, he's got those patience. And, I've traveled pretty much the world with Dave. We were in the same unit together. He was a load master on the C-130, and I was a flight engineer. And having him on a trip, you always know it's going to be a good trip with some of the people that you go with, and he's one of them. It's like, all right, Dave's on this trip. Yes, it's gonna be an awesome trip. And it's not because we go out partying.
People say that about me as well, just different trips.
But you know, his whole presence just is so positive.
Yeah. You know, we were as I listened to the end of his description of the events, and again, so matter of fact. You know, this was my job. I got it done. And you guys kind of closed and moved on. You know, I found myself wondering what happened. Why was the limousine there? Did they ever catch the guy that shot Dave?
You know,
and so I think we actually placed a call to Dave.
Yes, we did,
and just asked those questions. And
I
want to film another podcast of what happened after.
I think we need to, because we're going to get those calls or those emails like, hey, so what was the end result? Whatever happened?
I mean, I'm going to tease it. Multi-month manhunt. Like, guy gets sighted at a home, surrounded, police dogs involved.
Whoa, you're giving away too much.
I'm not giving away anything. But tear gas, and then the gun that shot Dave comes back.
Yes,
at the end of the story.
Even hearing him over the phone tell that part of the story, he was so still upbeat about everything. So I think it's going to have to happen. And matter of fact, a buddy of his, hopefully we can get him on the show too, talking about, you know, his perspective during the entire ordeal.
I mean, it was an episode out of a police drama to hear him describe it.
Yes.
Not something I recall ever hearing about on the news. I mean, I was certainly in Kansas City at the time, but...
What year did he say that was? That was 91?
It was 92, I believe, was when... 91 was the original event, and then I believe they finally caught the guy.
Yep.
I want to say it was in 92 after again, a multi-month manhunt.
Yeah. Where were you in 92?
Me, I was in Kansas City, Missouri, working as a computer programmer. Where were you?
I was at RAF Lakenheath, England, in the Air Force.
All right, yours is a little cooler.
Yeah,
I wasn't really that good at being a computer programmer either.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that one. I was 18 years old when I got to England, and I was able to buy my own beer because I was in England.
Okay, yeah, good point. The English do a lot of things right.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to hold it against them, the thing that happened 250 years ago, but they generally do things right now.
Yeah, speaking of which, 250 years ago, we got the birthday coming up for the United States.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a hell of a party.
It is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing what all happens both on the national as well as the local level.
Oh, the national level. Yep.
We're going to keep that out of the podcast, Steve.
Damn it.
But just another, I want to kind of re-tease the, when I think about the story that Dave shared with us today, again, it was like a police drama, multi-month manhunt, finding the bad guy they thought, sitting in a SWAT team, police dogs, tear gas, and again, the same gun that shot Dave coming back around months later.
Yeah.
That's just that when he said the whole story gave me chills. When he said that was just wow.
It's for that unfortunate event, which could have been worse, but the ending, not so much happy for the perpetrator, but at least there was some end resolution.
And some closure, yeah.
Closure.
Exactly. There was definitely some closure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the next episode. Your wing commander.
Yes, my wing commander now, actually, he's getting ready to retire within the next couple months. Great pilot, great guy. Scooter is his call sign. And we're going to hear his endeavor with a situation on honestly 130, which could have been extremely fatal. So,
oh wow,
more to come on it.
This is a great story, and we also, if I'm not mistaken, we get to hear your call sign.
Oh boy,
from Scooter.
Yeah. Actually, it's one of the better ones.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that in episode 3.
Yes, we will. Well, thank you for watching. I'd like to give some special thanks to the Shelby Bee Farm, to BomberPatches.com, as well as David Velasquez. And he was spectacular on the show, and I appreciate everybody's participation in this.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Steve.
Thank you. Well, shit, here's to episode 2.
Episode 2.
To Dave.
To Dave.
If you or someone you love is struggling, please don't carry that burden alone. Reach out. Talk to someone. Help is available. And asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.